I don't think that Puerto Rico should be a state.
I think Puerto Rico should remain as a Commonwealth and consider becoming independent in the future.
I'm pro-Commonwealth.
Knowing Puerto Ricans and being familiar with the history of Puerto Rico, I think they do have a right to self-determination and should be independent.
A move towards independence is a necessary first step.
It's not really a cultural fit to be a part of the United States.
So I believe that Puerto Rico should become a state.
I think it's best as a Commonwealth as it is now because, yeah, it's like we help it, but at the same time it's kind of by itself.
I think that ideally Puerto Rico should be its own country. I think in the midterm though it should stay a Commonwealth and see independence as a future goal.
Historically, Puerto Rico came under the control of the U.S. in the Spanish-American War. Since then, there's always been a movement for independence.
I think Puerto Rico should become a state.
It would continue some of the benefits that Puerto Ricans have received for the past almost 100 years in terms of citizenship, and it would allow us to continue advocacy in the relationships that already exist.
I think that Puerto Rico should be a Commonwealth because 51 stars would be really awkward.
I think that Puerto Rico should kind of follow what the people want, and I know is that the majority of the people want to remain a Commonwealth. So
The reason why the flags of Cuba and Puerto Rico are very similar is because that movement was a unified movement between the islands of the Antilles for independence.
I think it's unrealistic for it to become a
You
state.
have to worry about whether or not it's going to be like, I don't know the word, like not sucky, but like not a good country on its own, you know what I'm saying?
I think Puerto Rico should be a state because I think that they should be able to enjoy fully the citizenship of the United States and also, I don't know, just be subject to everything that United States citizens are, just to make things equal instead of them being like a random Commonwealth kind of thing.
If one were to try and argue for statehood, as some people do, that a better argument could be made that you should do it from a position of independence first. You don't go from dependency to another kind of dependency.
I think that Puerto Rico should become a state.
So we can have more Latinos, and therefore the United States would be more awesome.
I think that Commonwealth would be the best option right now.
I can personally fairly easily eliminate the statehood option because I don't think that is an appropriate move to take for a variety of historical reasons. Puerto Rico became associated with the United States through imperial conquest. Puerto Rico, like Cuba, like the Philippines, like so many Spanish colonies, were already actively seeking independence.
Or it should, you know, get its act together and become a country of its own.
The question of Puerto Rican status is a very complicated one, and that's why I asked how many hours you might have.